Now let's get the weather prospects. Here's Rob McElwee.
Good morning. There's some very, very cold weather in Europe, but we just don't have it. No, it's sitting there over Scandinavia, Western Russia and indeed Poland, parts of Germany. Our feed is a mixture of the warmth from the Azores up here and something halfway between the two, roughly France or Germany, which is cooler. So we've got about average temperatures. So for much of Eastern Europe, you'll see temperatures by day below freezing, Helsinki, for example, and Warsaw. Down in Athens, yes, it's certainly warmer at 16 degrees. Moving generally westwards in Europe, it's rather more unsettled and we're up into double figures in most places. Oslo is the obvious one that stands out here at -5 in fine-ish weather. Now the wind, as I say, is a mixture of this southwesterly and southeasterly, so we end up with something halfway between the two. Not as strong as it has been, but still gusty, I think, over the southwest, and indeed the far northeast of Britain and parts of the Northern Isles as well. But the winds are lighter than they have been, which is something. But a combination of cloud, rain and wind overnight will mean no problem with frost, 4 or 5 at lowest. The rain mostly on the western side of the country, and it could become heavy for a time over the West Country, later Wales, and maybe in western Scotland as well. But for most places it'll be largely dry, if rather grey to start the morn. But by about lunchtime we will be seeing a cold front moving up the country. Whether or not you know what that means, in general you see the cloud breaking up behind it and you get a bit of sunshine. Well, we'll be lucky to see that, but there will be a change in the distribution of the rain. For example, it'll be there in western Scotland, though probably not the east, but it is going to be cold in Aberdeen, an onshore breeze and a fairly stiff one at that. Northern Ireland will see the rain disappearing later in the day, with brighter weather showing further south, maybe showing up just before dusk. As far as Wales is concerned, it's also a brightening picture, but on the eastern side of the country, although it'll stay cloudy, it should be largely dry. But because of the lack of sunshine and the onshore breeze, again it won't be warm, at about 9 degrees for Norwich and Ipswich, maybe up to 10 or 11 Cambridge and down towards London as well. A spot of drizzle in the wind is possible, but not particularly likely. So the overall picture for the morning is a grey and cloudy one, outbreaks of rain still in the west. By the afternoon though, there'll be some sunshine in places, and because it's a southeasterly wind you might find it breaks up in the north of Wales. Nice little microclimate around here, and maybe down the Gower Peninsula. Possibly we'll see another outbreak of rain coming out later in the day, but there's no guarantee of that. As already hinted though, it's not going to be warm. 8 or 9 degrees, a repeat of Monday, a little bit warmer, or I should say mild, or at least in the southwest, but still with the fairly chill breeze. No, the major weather is down in Iberia for Tuesday. For Wednesday and Thursday, the rain from that heads up towards our country. So it's still a fairly grey story with more rain to come for the rest of the week.
If you want the whole picture, the city's already talking about it.
It's going to be quite different from other things you've seen.
Gillian Lacey Solimar's presenting it.
I'm fed up with jargon. We won't have any of that.
Bringing business out of the boardroom and into your living room.
Making the most of your money, from high finance to high street shopping.
Covering all the business angles.
We'll be trying to find out what it means to people in the street and how it's going to affect their everyday lives.
BBC News 24 reports on business hourly, plus a full evening roundup.
And there won't be grey men in grey suits. Hello, a very good morning. You're watching BBC News 24. The latest news at 5:30. In Japan, the Tokyo stock market dropped sharply in trading this morning. A few moments ago, it had lost almost 6% of its value. Trading was very brisk, the index losing 750 points within the first hour of opening. Billions of pounds were wiped off world share prices yesterday as city dealers reacted to the collapse of Yamaichi, one of Japan's biggest stockbrokers. And in Hong Kong, the market also opened down more than 2%. The fall on the Asia markets could influence what happens in London and New York later today. Bob Geldof has refused to comment about the death of Michael Hutchence. He said he had no intention of speaking about his ex-wife's boyfriend. The funeral of the INXS star will be held on Thursday. His fellow band members have called his death a tragedy. there may be a delay in lifting the ban on beef exports from Northern Ireland. Officials in Brussels have suggested there may still be some problems with the computer database which monitors the slaughter of cattle. And 2 astronauts from the Space Shuttle Columbia have captured a $10 million satellite which was drifting into space using only their hands. The astronauts had first tried to use a remote control arm to grab the satellite, but couldn't complete the task. NASA then told the Columbia crew to get either side of the satellite and grab it. They then used the remote control arm to bring the satellite into the cargo bay. The satellite went wrong on Friday, moments after it was launched. Westminster has been full of rumours about what has happened to Humphrey the Downing Street cat. A fortnight ago, Number 10 announced that he was retiring to the country on the grounds of age and ill health. But then there were suggestions that he might have been put down. And as our political correspondent John Pienaar reports, there's now been a new twist in the tale.
Humphrey in his heyday. Until a few weeks ago, Humphrey, the Cabinet Office cat, stalked Downing Street as if he owned the place. Not so much a cat as a national institution. Then he was gone.
Have you seen Humphrey, Prime Minister?
And today, the speculation on Humphrey's fate touched the government at the highest level.
How's the cat, Mr. Campbell? Is he well?
Tonight, Humphrey's footsteps are just a memory. 3 weeks ago, they said he'd been sent somewhere more peaceful. But that didn't stop today's speculation that he'd been quietly done away with. His old friends are worried.
Well, we've been rather concerned because we haven't seen him for quite a while. Hopefully we'll turn up safe and sound.
Well, we're all very concerned about him. We haven't seen him and well, it's been a while since he's been about.
Humphrey's fate took up more time at today's briefing for political journalists than anything else. Humphrey said the Prime Minister's spokesman was alive and living in a quiet suburban place. One journalist said, "Do you mean a cemetery? And what about the speculation that the Prime Minister's wife had had enough of Humphrey around the house? To put it bluntly, that Cherie Blair wanted Humphrey dead." That was a lie, said the spokesman. It didn't happen like that. Perhaps not, but Humphrey's former vet remembers his old patient well. And for a while, this mystery seemed to deepen when he said the cat Downing Street described as old and sick was doing well just a few weeks ago.
There's a slight evidence of some kidney disease, but that's not unusual in a cat of that age. But apart from that, he was a healthy, lively, quite good-looking cat.
And tonight, these pictures of Humphrey, together with the morning papers, show he still is. Downing Street took the media to a secret location and put out a statement saying the Blairs like cats and miss Humphrey. The government's as popular as ever, but Downing Street isn't taking any risks with a public that seems to love a cat like Humphrey even more than New Labour. John Pienaar, BBC News.
This is News 24. Now it's time to